Welcome to Cheat Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. She said at least my ex was bigger, right there at the anniversary dinner, in front of Jeremy and Sarah and David from accounting, while everyone laughed and I sat completely still with my wine glass in my hand. And in that moment, something shifted. Not hurt, not anger, something colder than both. The kind of cold that comes with a plan. My name is Paul Brooks. I'm 50 years old. I built Brooks Industrial Supply from a rented warehouse and one truck into a company with contracts across 3 states and 60 employees. My hands used to do the heavy lifting. Now they sign the contracts. But that night those same hands gripped a wine glass so hard I thought it might shatter. Claire sat across from me in the black dress she knew I loved. Hair perfect. Smile bright. She'd always been beautiful. That's what drew me in 15 years ago when we met at her father's charity event. She was 23, fresh out of college. I was 35, divorced, trying to rebuild after my first marriage collapsed under years of business obsession. Claire felt like a second chance. Her son Kyle was a toddler then, and when she told me she didn't know who his father was, just mistakes from her wild phase, I didn't judge. I became that boy's dad in every way that mattered. But that night at Marcello's, something changed. Jeremy, my so-called friend and one of my biggest clients, had been drinking too much. He made some joke about anniversary gifts. And Claire laughed. Then she said it, casual as ordering dessert. Well, at least my ex was bigger in the gift department. Paul's more of a practical guy. The table erupted. Jeremy choked on his wine. Sarah gasped, then giggled. David from accounting slapped the table. Claire raised her glass, grinning. Oh God, Paul, don't look so serious. You know I'm kidding. I wasn't serious. I was calculating. I set down my napkin slowly and looked at her. Not angry. Not hurt. Just looked. Thanks for the honesty, Claire. The laughter died. Not dramatically, just faded into uncomfortable silence. People found their plates fascinating. Sarah cleared her throat. Jeremy reached for the wine bottle. Claire's smile faltered. I stood up, put on my jacket, and smiled at nobody in particular. "Excuse me," I said, and walked out. Didn't storm. Didn't slam anything. Just left. Behind me I heard Claire's voice, bright and nervous, trying to restart the party. He's such a good sport, really. But I wasn't a good sport anymore. I was done being the safe choice, the practical man who paid for everything and took the jokes with a smile. I walked to my truck, sat in the driver's seat, and didn't start the engine. Just sat there in the dark, listening to my own breathing, feeling something shift from hurt to something purposeful. That joke was about to cost her more than she had ever imagined. I drove to the warehouse that night. The original one, rented space, concrete walls, memories in every corner. Past midnight, but I still had keys to every lock. I sat in the garage sale chair I'd bought in 1998 and stared at 17 missed calls from Claire. Didn't listen to a single voicemail. Opened my email instead. And there it was, buried 3 weeks back. Subject line, "Dad, we need to talk." From Kyle. My hand froze. Kyle never called me Dad in writing. Always said it out loud. Casual, easy, like it was the most natural thing in the world. But never typed it. I clicked. "Dad, I don't know how to say this. I saw something on Mom's phone a few months ago. I wasn't snooping, she left it open on the kitchen counter. I saw messages from some guy named Rick. They weren't just friends. I took screenshots because I didn't know what else to do. I've been carrying this for months and it's killing me. I'm sorry. You deserve to know. I'm on your side, always. Kyle." 3 attachments. First screenshot, a text conversation between Claire and someone saved as R. Messages dated 4 months back. Flirty at first. Then explicit. Hotel names. Times when I'd be out of town on business. Second, a photo. Claire and a man I didn't recognize. Younger, maybe 35, gym-built, cocky smile. A restaurant booth. His arm around her like she belonged there. Third, a voice message transcription. Claire's words. "I know I should feel guilty, but I don't. Paul's a good man, but he's boring. You make me feel alive again. I sat with that for 20 minutes. Boring. Not angry. Numb. And then, slowly, something else. Clarity. Kyle had known for months. A 16-year-old kid who I'd raised since he was 2 had carried this alone, trying to protect me, while his mother played games. He'd gathered evidence. Organized it. Been waiting for the right moment. He was more of a man at 16 than most adults I knew. I typed back. Kyle, you did the right thing. Don't worry about your mother. I'll handle it. You didn't betray anyone. You protected what matters. I'm proud of you. 20 minutes later, headlights swept across the parking lot. Kyle's beat-up Honda pulled in. He walked through the bay door carrying a backpack, shoulders tight, eyes red. I met him halfway. He didn't say anything. Just dropped the bag and stood there. Come here, I said. He stepped forward and I pulled him into a hug. The kid was taller than me now, but he still felt like the toddler who climbed into my lap during thunderstorms. You're not alone in this, I told him quietly. We're going to be fine. Both of us. Kyle stayed at the warehouse that night. We set up a cot in the break room. I made coffee while he unpacked his laptop. He'd backed everything up to a cloud drive. Made copies. Even printed the worst messages and labeled the folder math homework. When did you get so smart? I asked, sliding a mug across to him. He shrugged. I watch a lot of crime shows. I knew if I was going to do this, I had to do it right. I sat across from him. You shouldn't have had to do any of this. She's my mom, Kyle said quietly. But you're my dad. And she hurt you. That makes it my problem too. We spent the next 3 hours going through everything. The messages. Hotel receipts. Photos. Kyle had tracked down the guy on social media. Rick Valdez, 36, personal trainer at an upscale downtown gym. Divorced, no kids. Profile full of shirtless selfies and quotes about living your truth. Mom met him 6 months ago, Kyle said. She started going to the gym every morning. Said she wanted to get healthy. Then she started dressing differently, doing her makeup before the gym instead of after. Coming home later. One day I checked the Find My Phone app. She wasn't at the gym. She was at a hotel. I pulled up the prenuptial agreement on my laptop. Claire and I had signed it 12 years ago. Her father Gerald had insisted. At the time I thought it was overkill. Now I was grateful. Clause 14C. In the event of documented infidelity or public humiliation of either party, the injured party may activate asset protection protocols, including separation of joint accounts and revocation of shared property access. I made a call at 2 in the morning. Robert Kimmel, my attorney, 70 years old, retired from courtrooms but still kept a few private clients. Me being one of them. Paul, he said, voice gravelly. This better be good. It's not. I need you tomorrow morning. Early. She cheated. Not a question. Yeah. I've got proof. Come to my office at 7. Bring everything. Kyle looked at me across the table. What happens now? Now, I said, closing the laptop, we execute. Your mother thinks she's been playing chess. She doesn't know I've been planning this move for 12 years. Kyle asked quietly where he fit in all of it. I met his eyes. You're my son. That doesn't change. Ever. I don't care what biology claims. You're mine. And when this is over, you get to choose where you want to be. No pressure. No guilt. Just choice. His jaw tightened. He nodded once, then twice. I choose you, he said. Then we're good, I told him. Now get some sleep. At the door he stopped. Dad. Yeah. Thanks for not falling apart. I smiled, though it didn't reach my eyes. I'm saving that for later. Right now I've got work to do. By sunrise I had transferred half our joint savings into a personal account, activated the prenup clause through Robert, and started paperwork to freeze Claire's access to the house. She made a joke at my expense. Now she was about to learn what that joke actually cost. Robert's office at 7. I laid out everything. Screenshots, hotel receipts, photos, Kyle's testimony. Robert flipped through it methodically. Set it down. Looked at me. This is airtight. What do you want? I want to activate the prenup, lock her out financially, and file for full custody of Kyle. He's not your biological son. I've been his father for 14 years. That counts." Robert nodded. "It does. And given the adultery and the fact that Kyle is 16 and can express his own preference, you've got a strong case. It's going to get ugly. Let it." He smiled, thin and sharp. "Papers filed by noon. Served by end of business today. By noon the joint account was frozen. By 2 the house locks were changed. By 4 a courier delivered papers to Claire at her office downtown. I didn't need to be there to see her reaction. I could imagine it perfectly. Kyle and I had lunch at a diner across town. He picked at his fries, quiet. I told him she would call. He said, 'What if she cries?' I told him then she cries. That doesn't change what she did. My phone buzzed. Robert. She's called my office 12 times in the last hour. Threatened to sue. I told her to get her own lawyer. I showed Kyle the message. He almost smiled. Think she's figured out yet that you're not the safe, boring guy she married?" "Yeah," I said. "I think she's starting to get the picture." 3 days after Claire got served, Gerald showed up. Her father. 68 years old, black Mercedes, a man who had spent his life in boardrooms and country clubs. I watched him from the office window as he climbed out, straightened his jacket, and walked toward the warehouse entrance like a man on a mission. But when he walked through the door, he wasn't angry. He looked tired. Old in a way I'd never seen before. "Paul," he said. "Gerald, can we talk privately?" Inside my office, he sat down heavily and stared at the floor. "She came to me yesterday," he said finally, crying, telling me you'd locked her out of the house, frozen the accounts, taken Kyle from her. Said you were being cruel and vindictive over nothing. And you believed her." He looked up. His eyes were sharp. "I've known you 15 years, Paul. You're a lot of things. Vindictive isn't one of them. So, no. I didn't believe her. I asked her what really happened. She gave me some story about a joke at dinner that you blew out of proportion. It wasn't just a joke." "I know." Gerald pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket and set it on my desk. "I hired my own investigator." I opened it. More photos. Claire and Rick Valdez. Different hotels, different restaurants. Timestamps showing she'd continued meeting him almost daily since I moved out. She hadn't even slowed down. "She didn't stop," Gerald said, his voice flat. "You walked out, filed papers, and she just kept going like nothing had happened. I'm sorry you had to see this." "Don't be. I needed to know." He leaned back, looking older than ever. "When Claire was young, I spoiled her. Her mother died when she was 12, and I didn't know what else to do. I gave her everything she wanted. Never made her work for anything. I thought I was being a good father. But I created someone who doesn't understand consequences." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you're doing the right thing. Lock her out. Take the house. Protect Kyle." He looked toward the door. "That boy deserves better. And so do you." He stood up. "I'm changing my will. Claire won't inherit a dime. Everything goes to Kyle, held in trust, managed by you. Gerald, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. Because if I leave it to her, she'll burn through it in 5 years. But Kyle, he's got your sense. Your work ethic. He'll make something of himself." He walked to the door. Stopped. "Paul, I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. You're a good man. You deserved better." "Thank you, Gerald." He left quietly. No dramatics. Just a father accepting that his daughter had failed, and choosing to do the right thing anyway. 2 weeks after the papers were served, Robert called. "Paul, we've got a problem. Or rather, Claire has a problem. And you're about to benefit from it." He'd found irregularities in the financial records during the standard divorce audit. The college fund I'd set up for Kyle, originally $150,000, was sitting at $82,000. My blood went cold. $68,000 withdrawn over the last 18 months. Multiple transactions, all authorized by Claire, based on withdrawal dates cross-referenced with her credit card statements, hotels, dinners, gifts. There was even a $5,000 charge to a jewelry store the same day she pulled $10,000 from Kyle's fund. She stole from her own son. Technically, it was a joint account. Not legally theft. But morally, yes. I walked out to the warehouse floor. Kyle was helping load hydraulic pumps onto a truck. He jogged over when he saw my face. "Dad, you okay? You look like someone kicked your dog." I didn't sugarcoat it. "Your college fund. Your mother withdrew $68,000 over the last year and a half. She used it for hotels, restaurants, gifts. She spent your college money on her affair." Kyle's face went blank. He processed it silently. Then his jaw tightened and something dark moved across his face. "I worked for that money," he said quietly. "I saved. I put in half of everything I earned from mowing lawns and stocking shelves." "I know." He turned away, hands in his pockets, shoulders tight. When he turned back, his eyes were red but dry. "I don't want to see her anymore. I said I'd think about it, but I'm done. She can cry all she wants. I don't care. She stole my future to pay for her fun. That's not a mother. That's a thief." I put a hand on his shoulder. "We'll rebuild the fund. I'll match every dollar she took. You don't have to." "Yes, I do." Kyle nodded, then looked up at me. "What happens to her now?" "Now she answers for it in court, in front of a judge. And she explains why she thought it was acceptable to steal from her own son." "Good," Kyle said. And he meant every word of it. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Plain walls, fluorescent lights, wooden benches. Claire sat at the defendant's table with her attorney, sharp woman in her 40s who had probably heard every excuse in the book. Judge Patricia Hartwell entered. 60 years old, gray hair pulled back tight, eyes that missed nothing. 30 years on the bench. Robert had told me she had zero patience for games. The hearing lasted 2 hours. Robert presented everything methodically. The affair, the hotel receipts, the screenshots, Kyle's testimony, the financial records showing $68,000 drained from his college fund. Claire's attorney tried to spin it, said the account was jointly held, that Claire had legal access. "Legal access doesn't mean ethical use," Judge Hartwell interrupted. "Continue." Robert then played audio from the anniversary dinner, recorded by a guest who provided it voluntarily. Claire's voice making the joke. The laughter. My one-line response. The silence that followed. The judge listened without expression. She turned to Kyle. "Mr. Brooks, you're 16 years old. Old enough to have a say. Where do you want to live?" Kyle stood up. His voice was steady. "With my dad, Your Honor. Paul Brooks. He's been my father since I was 2. He's the one who showed up. He's the one I trust." The judge nodded. "Sit down, son." She looked at the documents for a long moment. Then she spoke. "Full custody of Kyle Brooks granted to Paul Brooks, with visitation rights to Mrs. Brooks at Kyle's discretion, not hers. The house on Belmont Ridge remains the sole property of Mr. Brooks per the prenuptial agreement. Joint assets divided 60-40 in Mr. Brooks' favor due to financial misconduct. Mrs. Brooks is ordered to repay the $68,000 withdrawn from Kyle's education fund within 18 months, with interest. Mandatory financial counseling. Quarterly repayment reports to this court. This is not a request. This is an order." Claire's face went white. Gavel down. Outside the courthouse, Kyle stood quiet, processing. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah." "I just didn't think it would feel this final." "It is final. That's the point." He nodded. "What happens now?" "Now we go home. We rebuild your college fund. You finish high school. You apply to universities. You live your life. And your mother figures out her own." Kyle looked at me. "Thank you, Dad, for fighting for me." "Always," I said. "That's what fathers do. 2 years can change everything." Kyle graduated high school with honors. Accepted to 3 universities. Chose mechanical engineering. His college fund was fully restored. I matched every dollar Claire had taken and added 50,000 more. Claire moved to an apartment across town, got a job in retail, something she'd never done before. Paid back the education fund in monthly installments. Never missed a payment. I'll give her that. Kyle saw her occasionally. Coffee, careful conversations. Some wounds heal. Others just scar over. He kept his distance, not out of anger, but out of clarity. He understood now that loving someone and trusting them were two different things. Gerald passed away 8 months later. Heart attack, quick and painless. He left everything to Kyle, held in trust with me as executor. Claire received nothing. At the funeral, she stood in the back and didn't speak to anyone. Kyle gave the eulogy, talked about integrity, about showing up, about becoming the man his grandfather believed he could be. I kept working, expanded the business, opened a second warehouse, hired 20 more people, stayed focused on building something lasting. Then on a Tuesday in September, I met someone. Her name was Beth. 42, divorced, 2 kids of her own. She came into the warehouse looking for industrial parts for her machine shop. We talked business for an hour. Then she asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I said yes. We took it slow. Dinners, long conversations, no rushing. She didn't want anything from me except company. And that was exactly what I needed. Kyle met her 3 months in. They got along immediately. She treated him like an adult, asked about his studies and his plans, didn't try to replace anyone. Just existed alongside us naturally. On Kyle's 19th birthday, we had dinner at the house. Just the 3 of us. Beth cooked, insisted on it. Kyle told stories about his engineering courses, about the life he was building. At the end of the night, as Beth was leaving, Kyle pulled me aside. I like her, Dad. She's good for you. You deserve to be happy. So do you, son. He grinned. I am. Thanks to you. After he left for campus the next morning, I sat on the back porch with my coffee and looked out at the yard. Thought about everything that had happened. Claire had made a joke. One stupid, careless joke designed to get a laugh at my expense. She thought it was harmless. Thought I'd take it like I always had, swallow my pride, play the good sport, and come home and forget it by morning. What she didn't know was that her own son had already sent me everything I needed. What she didn't understand was that patient men don't stay patient forever. What she never considered was that the boring, practical husband she joked about in front of her friends had been quietly building something she would never be part of again. The joke lasted 4 seconds. The consequences lasted 2 years. And by the time she understood what she had actually lost, I was already somewhere else entirely. My phone buzzed. Beth. Coffee later, my treat. I smiled and typed back. Sounds good. Life moves forward. Some people move with it. Others get left behind. I chose to move forward. And I never once looked back. Thank you for watching.